Hi, YouTube. This is interesting, Andrew. I had recently finished reading the Harvard Classics in the course of a year and a few months, and I made the mistake of not taking notes properly and also just not digesting all that I had read to regurgitate it and learn as much as possible from it. And so I am currently reading the Summa Theologica, namely because it's a huge piece of philosophical, theological history and also is the foundation of a lot of Western thought development. And that's actually been kind of my journey in the last few years. I may have mentioned in passing like hiking videos. I first started watching like the Federalist or reading the Federalist Papers and a series of other of the English canon um, because I was trying to determine if my worldview is accurate and also meaningful, and if there's anything new I can learn to hopefully pour back into uh, the greater community, America, for instance, what little influence I can have, which is, you know, small. So, Summa Theologica was written by St. Thomas Aquinas in the 13th century, mid century, if I'm not mistaken. To my understanding, he had passed away before he fully completed it. But as I have found it online, and I printed and bound it myself. I'm horrible at binding books, but it's a lot better than just keeping it in a binder, for instance, and cheaper, maybe. Uh, and so I printed it off the public domain, which I recommend. Basically, all classics are available in the public domain. I love the idea of keeping hard copies of literature uh, for future generations. Maybe one day when I have children, hopefully, they would also be able to read it if it's no longer available in the public domain. And so I printed it and bound it. And so this is basically a book report on the first 70 pages of Summa Theologica. And so it pertains to like questions one through, I believe it's five. Oh, six. So questions one through six. Questions four through six, I had not really taken notes. I had really just read more about it because, or I only read it because it seemed more straightforward. In the beginning of it, it's a lot more vague and ethereal because it's setting up quality, like how to quantify and the qualitative element of God, His essence, um, and it goes from there. So in the beginning, question one and then article one, so it kind of sets it up as like a series of questions, and then maybe some arguments against it, and then he will offer uh, just a simple answer, and then he'll offer to every objection according to the subject. So question one, article one would be the first chapter, and then each of these articles are one of those questions in there. And so I'm just picking my favorite ones that I found the most beneficial. So, question one, article one, whether besides philosophy, any further doctrine is required. So, this actually kind of points back to at the time, um, a lot of scholarship was lost from the Greeks. And so Aristotle and Socrates, Plato, uh, Cicero, who is also nicknamed Tully, I think his full name is like Publicanus Tullius Cicero, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I read him, but I just call him Cicero. And then those Greeks were able to, through a series of questions, um, determine certain characteristics about God. It was either Aristotle or Socrates, I can't remember who it was put to death because they claimed that they were atheist because they denied the polytheism of the Parthenon, right? Parthenon, everyone on Mount Olympus, uh, and so he was arguing that no, they're just essentially chaos, and they don't really reflect the actual entity as they were able to deduce uh, the creator. And it was later revealed to them through Christianity and through mission work and stuff like that that uh, he was revealed, but they were catching little nuggets through their own ability through philosophy. So uh, Aquinas starts with in his answer to it, God's revealed knowledge in Scripture, 2 Timothy 3:16, gives direct revelation into the nature of God. So basically, all Scripture is God-breathed and useful for teaching, rebuking, and correcting in righteousness. And then 17, so all God's children may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. Um, so a side note was that very few could theorize correctly to the nature of God and would likely make many mistakes along the way. Scripture allows all to have an understanding of the nature of God. So versus just seeing through the natural order of all of creation, that uh, trying to deduce the nature and qualities of God, you actually have it explicit within the Bible. Um, I would actually connect that now to modern era, where we have what is now called simulation theory, which I in high school was already kind of before that, but I was able to make my own assumptions about that coming from my atheism. It was that if mathematics and science and everything else, every mechanism in nature that's observable, and as we continue to break into new physics or whatever, uh, we continually get humbled, for one, about, for instance, back then it was the God particle. And then we found out there were more subparticles or subatomic particles below that. And it's always going to continue. And this ability to divide and define infinitesimally, or the perfect nature of mathematics in all of creation, to where we can do stuff like physics and determine the nature of creation, I always believed pointed to a creator, because if it were all random, I argued in my own mind that it would be like a badly coded video game where there'd be a lot of errant code within physics and or mathematics and everything else, and then you would not be able to deduce qualities like that from the natural order. Okay, so question one, answer two, or article two, uh, is sacred doctrine then science? Because philosophy is considered one of the highest forms of science during the medieval kind of scholarship. Um, his answer was there are two kinds of science. Some proceed from natural light of intelligence, such as math and geometry, and then some proceed from light of a higher perspective or a higher science. 1 second.